On December 13, 2019, Rashid Staggy became the latest victim of Friday the 13th in the most unlikely of places. At first, everything seemed normal. Staggy enjoyed a few drinks with his best friend at his house at Salt River, Cape Town, before hopping into the front passenger seat. The two decided to chat for a while before hitting the road. Suddenly, the atmosphere turned eerie, and before they knew what was happening, stormed the premises, turning the day into one of the darkest the Staggy family would ever experience. Born in Moirivier, Cape Town in 1961, Rashid and his twin brother Rashad knew what poverty was before they could spell their names. They were raised in Cape Flats because their family had been affected by the Group Areas Act. This decree made it impossible for people of color to live close to whites or even around them. They were not considered good enough to live in decent neighborhoods. Due to this, they were pushed very far from the neighborhoods occupied by the whites. More than 1 million colored and blacks got affected by this displacement. Rashid had to get used to life in Manenberg, a new region without access to the resources and services needed to live a comfortable life. The Staggy twins had very little while growing up, and in a bid to survive, they engaged in petty crimes. Although Rashid became a criminal at an early age to deal with hardship, soon, crime became more than just a means of survival for him. It became the order of the day, and while still a teenager, he was already a powerful force in the underworld. In his teenage years, he was a part of Cape Town's network. This was just the beginning of what he would go on to achieve in his criminal life. As Rashid grew older, his influence increased, as did his use of violence. Although he was already involved in a world of crime before the 1990s, that decade saw him evolve into more than just a criminal. He began commanding other gangsters and expanded his criminal empire. Together with his brother, he became a leader of the Notorious Hard Livings gang, which had members scattered across Cape Town. This meant he had huge influence and control over the city's underworld. However, the year 1996 gave Rashid and the Staggy family their first sucker punch when Rashad, the co-leader of the Hard Livings gang, was shot and burned alive outside his home in Salt River, Cape Town, by a vigilante group known as PAGAD, People Against Gangsterism and. Despite his brother's Rashid rose to become one of the biggest lords in Cape Town. He was so influential that he had links with syndicates from within and outside South Africa. Those who wanted to be part of the Cape Town network had to go through him or become his enemy. Yet, he didn't limit himself to just. He also played a significant role in distribution and robberies in Cape Town. His position as an dealer was indirect, meaning he didn't personally sell. Instead, he supplied them to various gangs in exchange for their loyalty. This may not have seemed like much, but it played a crucial role in solidifying his status in the underworld. Beyond supplying to other criminals, he was known for giving money to people in his neighborhood, and this helped him secure a degree of protection. Furthermore, it encouraged locals to resist security forces whenever they attempted to arrest him. Still, this wasn't enough to prevent him from being arrested on August 22, 2001, on the grounds of kidnapping a teenage girl. He was later released on day parole after spending 10 years behind bars in Pollsmoor maximum security prison. Rashid and his gang members were involved in several gangs. However, it was easy for him to triumph over other gangs because of the number of gangs loyal to him. As the leader of the Hard Livings gang, he locked horns with the Americans and other rival gangs, and as you might have imagined, these clashes led to unnecessary bloodshed. Rashid had taken lives, either directly or indirectly, so it was only a matter of time before he lost his own in a similar manner. His day of reckoning came on December 13, 2019. On that fateful day, he was spending time with his best friend in front of his home. Both men were seated in a Corolla sedan, unaware of what was about to happen. Unfortunately, it was an event Rashid would not live to talk about. He was in the front passenger seat when two men approached them and opened fire. They didn't just at the car, they targeted Rashid. In the end, multiple bullets tore through his body, sealing his fate. It seemed like he had a chance of survival, so he was moved to the Groote Schuur Hospital, where he was eventually pronounced. Although he wasn't the only one in the car at the time of the he was the only one that paid the ultimate price. Surprisingly, the other occupant of the car wasn't even hurt. He was able to get away from the scene in one piece. 2 hours after Rashid's his daughter ran out of the house screaming, he's Her reaction to his was heartbreaking, but she wasn't the only one that reacted. The Western Cape South African Police Service spokesperson also responded, and speaking for the police force, Brigadier Novela Potelwa said, police forensic experts are on the scene of a incident where a 58-year-old man was and seriously wounded this morning in London Road, Salt River. The 58-year-old on arrival at a nearby hospital. Information at the disposal of the police indicates that the deceased was sitting in his vehicle when two unknown suspects emerged, fired several shots at him, and fled on foot. Crime scene experts are currently on the scene combing for clues that could assist the murder investigation. Woodstock police have reinforced deployment in and around the Salt River area. If Rashid had died a decade earlier, perhaps his would have been special. However, his didn't amount to much, judging from the Hard Livings gang's perspective, because he wasn't even the leader when he was killed. This meant he wasn't exactly a big name in the underworld anymore. More interestingly, Bally Tips, who was the leader of the Hard Livings gang at that time, was just a day earlier. Many reports claim that there was no link between the two deaths, and this view may hold some truth. Although Rashid had lived most of his life as a criminal at the time of his he wasn't much of a gangster. This would have made one think that not much could have changed after his at least in the underworld. So why did anyone think he needed to be taken off the scene? Lots of questions surrounding why he was were raised, especially by the residents of Cape Flats and folks on social media. In response, there were several theories about why he was taken out, with some more believable than the others. For some reason, no one really wanted to consider the fact that he was probably a victim of gang. Lots of people believed there were unanswered questions. So, to provide answers to the many questions in the air, Risk Bulletin interviewed some people. These included community leaders, activists, gang members, and gang leaders. At the end of the day, it was believed that there could have been three main causes of Rashid's. First on the list was he no longer had a good relationship with the 28's gang, a powerful street gang affiliated with the prison number gangs. Another theory was he had allegedly swindled some Nigerian drug dealers who had paid him with hopes he would let them into the Cape Town drug market. And the third theory was he had upset a relative who happened to be a member of the Hard Livings gang. This relative was hoping he would get a promotion. Disappointingly, the promotion never came. There are various ways to interpret the theories surrounding Rashid's but regardless, each carries at least a hint of truth. Still, separating fact from rumor might be impossible. We may never reach a definitive conclusion about why someone thought eliminating Rashid was the solution to an existing problem. But one thing is clear, he left some loopholes in his business. Well, the chance to fix things vanished with his demise. Among the various theories about Rashid's one gained the most traction on the street, and that was the theory that his relative had a hand in his death. A significant number of people who were interviewed mentioned it. Although it may not be the truth, this relative was reportedly frustrated, and his frustrations might have made him conspire with another gang to eliminate him. This would have been relatively easy since he always knew his whereabouts. Similarly, the theory about his fallout with the 28's gang can't be swept under the carpet. Long before his Rashid and his twin brother Rashad had a strong connection with the 28's gang. This bond even led to the creation of groups such as Firm and Core. With these organizations, they were able to regulate the trade and also contribute to community development. The connection between both gangs was really useful and remained strong while Rashad was alive. However, it fell like a pack of cards after he passed on. The relationship between both gangs kept getting tense until they were fully divided. Due to how influential Rashid was as a criminal, there were beliefs that his death would have a ripple effect across the city, but the contrary happened. It appeared a lot of people in Cape Flats were comfortable with his death, so there was really no need to pick on anyone after he was off the scene. Not many people were expecting things to turn out this way. Still, a lot of people in Cape Flats began to see him differently after he started practicing Christianity when he got out of prison. Although he had the freedom to do whatever he felt was good for him, not everyone bought this idea. Some gang leaders in Cape Town had no problem with Rashid practicing Christianity. However, they didn't like the fact that he was trying to eat his cake and have it. The truth was, even though Rashid made it known that he had found Christ and now publicly spoke against crime, he still engaged in criminal activities. To make sure that Rashid's death didn't lead to a breakdown of law and order, the then Western Cape Community Safety MEC Albert Fritz came out to say, "It has been confirmed that Staggy was this morning in Salt River. This follows the of a reported gang member, aged 32 years, in Mitchell's Plain yesterday. Staggy was sitting in a car in front of his house in London Road, where his twin brother Rashad was previously and burned alive by people against gangsterism demonstrators in 1996. I have been informed that police forensic experts were on the scene of the incident this morning. Staggy on arrival at a nearby hospital. He was reportedly sitting in his vehicle when two unknown suspects emerged, fired several him and fled on foot. While speaking about the outcome of Rashid's, Minister Fritz said, "SAPs have informed me that they are on high alert following Staggy. I call on all neighborhood watches, CPFs, and responsible community leaders to play a role in bringing calm to our people." Although Rashid's death hit different people differently, people against gangsterism and the group responsible for the gruesome Shad, Staggy's twin brother, didn't conceal their satisfaction with his. One of them said, "So many lives have been lost through this person, so many innocent lives particularly. Our communities shouldn't fear any rival gang uprisings or retaliation. This is a victory, definitely something we need to celebrate, rather than worry about what may happen. The people who need to be worried are the dealers and gangsters who need to worry what their fate is going to be. If they are wise enough, they will take lessons in what has happened in the last few days," he said. Another gang leader said, "If we look at the that were dumped into our communities, they were in the hands of the very person that it can never be equated. The gangs allowed Staggy to live as a civilian. They gave him leeway to a certain extent, but when he tried to operate in both domains, his was inevitable. There is only one way to exit the gang life, and that is up through the porthole to God." People thought that there was going to be backlash after Staggy's, but there wasn't and there won't be. It was quiet after his because his was predetermined by the gangs. That's how the gangs wanted it. According to the rival gangsters and people against gangsterism, Rashid's was inevitable. In fact, the hit on the leader of the Hard Livings gang was a clear sign that all was not well. He could have increased his security or laid low for a while, but he saw no need for either. Rashid enjoyed the benefits of crime and ultimately paid the price. He definitely knew things could end up the way they did. The underworld in South Africa is notorious for countless and Rashid Staggy was just one of many hits. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.